Hey folks, welcome to today's video. We're going to be looking at some analytical functions, two of them that are very closely related, lag and lead. And yeah, for the sake of argument, they're opposites. What are lag and lead? Well, they're ways of looking at data and seeing like what's the value in the record before it or after it that had something. So like in other words, first of all, let me just show you what's in this table. Okay, now I'm ordering by salary. It's an employee table. We've got a first name, a last name, and yes, all these names are made up. You might even recognize in some cases it's, sci-fi, like here's Norin Rad, which is the Silver Surfer, and here's Harry Osborn, who is the Green Goblin, and got some Star Trek over here. Bugs Bunny, I think he was ran for president. Anyway, you see how the salary here is 8,000 and this is 8,100? Who's the person right now who makes one salary less than Dave Morgan? Well, it's Snoopy. Who's the person that makes one salary less than Bugs Bunny? Well, it's Jean-Luc Picard. That's really a difference in pay that's kind of severe. But here's the thing. Bugs Bunny has acting experience in cartoons. Okay, so what we do is, in order to use lag, we're going to start out with what we have here. It's the same exact query. Oh, by the way, I have 5 windows open, and in these 5 windows, what I'm going to do is just change things a little bit each time so that you can get the hang of it kind of easily. So here, what we have, all I'm doing is I'm adding this. Let me explain what this is. I'm saying lag, that's the function that we're looking at, and I'm lagging the salary, but how? I'm saying over, oh, and by the way, previous is just the name of the column. I could have called it lag, but I called it previous. The over section, you can have things in here called like partition by, You can have things in here called partition by, which we're going to talk about, and order by. So we're ordering by salary. Now, when you have this over section, you can have partition by, and in some database RDBMSs, you don't have to use an order by. Like Postgres lets you get away without doing that because I've tried it. SQL Server doesn't. You have to have an order by. Even if you don't want one, you have to do it or it'll break. Unless the newest, juiciest version just came out and it allows that now. I'm not sure which way the specification goes on that. But anyway, enough talking. Let's see how this looks. Kaboom. Now notice what happens. So I'm going to look at Joe Smythe. He makes 8,350. Well, who makes one notch lower than him? Well, Eileen McClellan makes 8,300. So watch this. Boom. 8,300. Basically what it does is it shifts everything by 1. See? But there's nobody that makes less than Snoopy the dog, so he has no previous, or he has no value that's lagging his. Now, on the other hand, the person who makes the most, John Shepard, does have somebody before him, but what's going to happen is when we show lead, then John Shepard's not going to have anybody that leads him because he makes the most. So he'll have a null for that. But then Snoopy will have something in there, and it's going to be 8,100. So let's do that. Lead is basically the opposite of lag. All right, so let's do this. See, so now Snoopy, who makes 8,000, the person that leads him right in the next spot is 8,100, Dave Morgan. So here's the 8,100, and there's the 8,100. See how that works? Okay. But then when we get to John Shepard at the end, see, nobody makes more than him. Nobody leads him, so that's null. So, okay, that's how that works. Now, at this point, you're probably saying to yourself, okay, I get how that works. I can pass the interview question, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But you're probably thinking to yourself, I can't think of a single real-world reason where I would use that at my job. That's normal. Usually when it comes to rank and dense rank and row number, you can think of examples all the time of how you could use it. But with lag and lead, it doesn't work that way. But here's what will happen. I guarantee it. You'll be sitting there one day, and then all of a sudden it'll hit you. I can use lag and lead for this. You'll feel like a genius, and you'll actually look like a genius. I have a video coming out of something that I did recently. All right, in this next one, by the way, um, I've used salary the whole time up here with first name, last name, and department. Here I did it a little differently. First name, last name, department. I put salary down here. I put lag, then salary, then lead. It's just so we can see all three of them together. So let's do that. So now, let me move this bad boy up here a little. Come on, you. All right, so now we pick anybody at random. All right, let's take John Luck Pickard. Okay. So he's making $39,000. Actually, he probably made more than that per episode, but that's okay. The next person after him makes $76,000. See? Bugs Bunny makes $76,000. So that's his lead, or his next, because that's what I'm calling it. And then, who makes less, one thing less than Jean-Luc Picard? Well, it's May Parker, or Aunt May. She makes $21,300. See, that's the salary. And then there's the $21,300 right there. So all lag and lead do is it just offsets a row by one in one direction or the other. Well, that's all well and good. But see, this is doing it for the entire table, which is what we asked it to do, and it was just a simple thing. But when you do it like this for the entire table, there's going to be one lag that has nothing because you can't be lower than the lowest person. And there's going to be one lead that's null because you can't have somebody higher than the highest person, and whatever that is, unless you use a partition by. Well, what I mean is having one of these for the table and one of these, if you use a partition by, it's a little different, and I'll show you what I mean. We're going to say partition by department. Now, how is that different? Well, watch this. See, now you're going to see a lot more nulls. Oh, and by the way, here we were doing lag and lead, but just to keep it simple, I'm just doing lag. Okay. Now what it does, see, and the difference here, let's go to this original lag. I'm going to copy this line of code real quick because I think you're going to enjoy this. I'm going to put this here. I'm not going to run it like this, and they're both like that, but I'm just going to kind of hit the space key a bunch of times. Now look at the space bar. That's where Picard used to get lit. Okay, so both of these are pretty much the same. We're doing a lag over for salary, and then we do an over. But then, and both of them have an order by salary, and they're both named previous. But the one that we're going to look at now has a partition by department. What does that do? Well, we can see it down here because we ran it already. When you partition by the department, here we go. It just looks at the people in your department, not the whole entire record set. So there's nobody that made less than Snoopy, so that's null. 8,900, Luke Spencer, who's right before him, 8,800. Well, there it is. But now when we get to HR, starts over again. See, there's a lot of people in this list that make less than Peter Parker, that make less than 21,000, but this is still null because nobody makes less than Peter Parker in his department because we're partitioning by department. So what that means is for every department, the process or the lag, it starts over and it resets. The odometer, it's like it's starting over again. You know, Happy New Year, that kind of thing. So that's how that works. So, and again, lag is an analytical function. It's also a window function. It's really not a window function per se until you use partition by. Why? Because think of this as a window. And think of this as a different window because it starts over. This only has one, so it starts over. This has only one, but it starts over. Management has three, but it starts over. R&D, it starts over. So that's the beauty of partition by. You can granularize things in a lot of cool ways. And when you start playing around with this, you're going to love it. Speaking of loving things, if you like this video, please consider hitting the like button. If you love it, you might even want to consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel and gives me the opportunity to make even more videos. I'd love to hear your feedback. Thank you for your attention, and I'll see you guys in the next video.